republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Alt?
Here.
Mr. Beistel? Mr. Calero?
Here.
Mr. Fry? Mrs. Love?
Here.
Mr. Polakowski?
Here.
Mrs. Rhodes? Here. Mrs. Shipley? Here. Mr. Benz?
Let the record show that Mr. Bentz indicated the last week that he would have another commitment tonight when we scheduled the meeting. Mr. Beistel is under the weather and Mr. Fry is out of town.
All right. Citizens' comments?
No comment cards, sir.
I'm going to entertain a motion to go into executive session here for a few minutes for personnel issue. Do I have a motion? Mrs. Rhodes, second? Second. Mrs. Love? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All right, opposed? And we are in session. Second? Mrs. Love? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
6 in favor and 3 absent.
New business.
I'm giving that a shot, but it's not going down this one. Come on. You're going to get it down, Jack, and I'm not. There you go. New business.
Personnel, excuse me.
All right. It is recommended that the board adopt the attached resolution with respect to a reduction in force.
I'll read the resolution. Whereas Southmoreland School District has experienced a substantial decrease in pupil enrollment, including but not limited to the following. And these are numbers from May of 2013, 1,936 students. May of 2014, 1,912 students. 2015, 1,893 students. 2016, 1,845 students. 2017, 858 students. Now therefore be it resolved that the administration is directed to present and then initiate a planned reduction of staff for the 2017-18 school term by attrition, suspension, demotion, or reassignment of personnel, subject to final approval of the school board as to the positions and number of staff involved before actual implementation.
Do I have a motion to accept this proposal?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Alt? Any second? I'll second the motion. Okay. Any questions on the motion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Calero?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
No.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Shipley? Yes.
Vote is 5-1 to accept the motion, 3 absent. Motion passes. We're going to do the athletic cut policy.
Yes.
Okay. It's recommended that the board direct the administration to develop a plan that limits the number of participants on athletic teams, authorizes and directs head coaches to develop criteria for the selection and placement of student athletics for participation on his or her respective team. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Would you explain that motion, Bob?
I believe this is basically to develop a cut policy for the
I
athletics.
understand.
Any other questions? So moved.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski, second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Love.
Shipley.
Shipley, I'm sorry. Through your voice, Amy. Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Calero,
Yes.
Mrs. Love,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes,
No.
Mrs. Shipley,
Yes.
Mr. Alt.
Yes.
Okay, votes 5-1 with 3 absent, motion passes. Okay. Posting a proposed budget for the 2017-18 school year. We've had some discussion about posting the budget with an Act 1 increase and without an Act 1 increase. One is Plan A and one is Plan B. Basically, the motions are the same with the exception of the fact that we would have a Tax 1 increase in the budget, which can be removed prior to the final vote on the budget. If we select without the Act 1 increase, the budget will stand without an increase regardless of any other additional cuts that we should make in the budget between now and the final vote 30 days from now. I will read do we have the figures on that, Jack?
And Mr. Martin, will you give the figures for the preliminary budget?
Give me a few minutes to add them up.
This is a continual work in progress. Mr. Marnell, would this be the summary of the proposed budget from May 18th? Would that be the correct numbers?
If I understand correctly, we're not making any changes to it.
Correct.
Correct.
So, the expenditures are $32,606,611. So you can put that in both spaces. And without a revenues without a tax increase would be $29,245,713.
Fund balance on that first page, Jim, of 6 million on that very first page of the summary.
Revenues with the Act 1 tax increase would be approximately $29,499,160.
Where is that on these pages?
I'm reading them out. They're not on this page.
So it's changed since this last one?
No, it didn't change. What we didn't know was what would change for tonight's meeting, any expenditure cuts or tax increase. So we didn't know what the final numbers would be. Now we're reading out the final numbers.
Okay, because I don't see that number on there.
Now, you won't see that on there. You'll see on the summary page that I gave you last week, you will see the expenditures of $32,606,611.
Yes.
You will see the revenues without the tax increase of $29,245,713.
Oh, okay.
And the approximate ending fund balance, $6,623,267.
How much of the fund balance are you using, though?
Well, you'd have to take the difference. Is
Right,
that-
that's
is
what
that-
I'm asking you
Is
to
that
do.
the number that you
Yeah,
put in there?
please.
Okay, 32,606,611 minus the 29,499,160. So in Plan A, you would use 3,107,451. And in Plan B,
Plan B is without the tax increase.
right,
What was that number again with the tax increase? 3 million what?
107,451.
and without the tax increase, it would be $3,360,898.
I'm not sure where he's putting these figures.
Without the tax increase, of course, your millage rates would stay the same in Westmoreland County. This year, it is 74.61. In Fayette County, it's 14.9982. Now, with the tax increase, we have to take these numbers, the assessed values and the market values, and put them into the Department of Education program. It will do the multi-county rebalancing. But for illustrative purposes, assuming my numbers are perfectly correct, the millage rate for Westmoreland County would be 77.22, and Fayette County would be 15.5231. Now, Westmoreland County does not go out 4 digits, so that's why I only put in the 2 digits, 77.22.
All right, Jim, just let me make sure I have this clear. For both Plan A and Plan B, the expenditure amount is the same,
Yes,
$32,606,611.
correct?
All right, and for the revenues with the tax increase, the amount is $29,499,160.
Yes,
Okay, and the fund balance, I would assume would be the same regardless of whether we're talking about the tax increase or not, or would not be?
No, it would-
Okay, without the tax, with the first one, which is?
it would be the
without-
3,107,451.
Okay, and the revenues, that's the fund balance, and the millage you just gave us is 77.22 and 15.5231.
Right,
Okay. Right. And then for the Plan B, you're looking at, again, the same expenditures,
correct?
okay? And the fund balance, and the revenues there would be with the tax increase?
No,
this
that's
is
without.
Without the tax increase? Would be,
29,245,713.
you got them in there, Jack?
Peggy.
All right. All right, and then, hold on, Jack, and then
Fund
And
balance,
the
fund
use of
balance
fund
would be how
balance.
much? 31?
no,
3 million?
Yeah, 3,360,898.
Right.
Okay. All right, Jack's got it for me. I'll leave him off.
Okay, now, this is your Fayette millage.
Right, which I've got.
Made a mistake
I've got.
here. Okay.
All right, proposal 1. Posting a proposed 2017-2018 budget with the Act 1 increase. It's recommended that the board grant permission for the administration to post a proposed final budget as presented for a 30-day period and authorize and direct the secretary to obtain the necessary advertisements therefore. Expenditures of $32,606,611. Revenues of $29,499,160, and a fund balance of $3,107,451. This would set the millage for Westmoreland County at 77.22 and for Fayette County of 15.5231. Proposed millage rates are subject to the change for the final budget, adoption in June using the multi-county rebalancing based on methodology of section 672.1A1 of school code. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Polakowski. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Shipley. Roll call.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
No.
Mr. Calero?
No. So the vote is 4-2, 3 absent. Fails.
Motion fails.
I'll make the second proposal, posting of the proposed budget for 2016-2017 without the Act 1 increase. It is recommended that the board grant permission for the administration to post proposed final budget as presented for a 30-day period and authorize and direct the secretary to obtain the necessary advertisements therefore. Expenditures of $32,606,611, revenues of $29,245,713, and a fund balance of $3,360,898. This would set the millage at 74.61 for Westmoreland County and 14.9982 mills for Fayette County. Proposed tax millage rate subject to change for the final budget adoption in June using the multi-county rebalancing based on methodology of section 672.1A1 of the school code. Do I have a motion for that proposal?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Alt. Do I have a second? I'll second the motion. Roll call, Peg.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Shipley?
No.
Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Mr. Calero?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
No.
Vote is 4-2 with 3 absent. Motion fails. And we will be back for another meeting.
It would
We're
appear
going to
so.
take a problem. We'll be back for another meeting. Well, let me say this. We are at the 25th of May. We have till the 30th. So we're looking at having to have another meeting sometime by next Wednesday. I believe that would give us 30 days if we voted and approved the budget by next Wednesday.
Then you have to do 24 hours, right, David?
Yeah. We have to have the meeting again sometime between now and then. We're talking about tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, or Memorial Day. I'm presuming that most of the board does not want to meet on Memorial Day or Sunday. So it would leave us Friday,
Do you have a calendar?
Saturday, Monday, or Tuesday. Oh, I guess
Or the other thing is
Wednesday.
you could re-vote on one of your,
We could do that.
You're not going to have it tomorrow.
Oh, you can't advertise.
And there's no guarantee that we'll end up with more board members at any of those additional meetings if we have one.
your options to
Yeah.
re-vote, just post it,
Okay.
get it done.
So you got Tuesday, Saturday,
And Wednesday, I think you could go as far as Wednesday, David. Is that the 30th, 31st on Wednesday?
31st is, yeah, and then that puts you,
Right
what's
to
the
the
30th of June? What day is that? Did it show on here? 30th of June.
Well, you just, so you just slide it there.
Friday.
Friday.
June 30th is a Friday.
Friday, wonderful.
Goes late.
Wonderful. Friday.
I can throw out the proposals one more time if we want to vote again.
Does anybody have a suggestion to make any changes?
Bearing in mind, if you post a tax increase, doesn't mean you have to pass a tax increase. If you post no tax increase, you cannot add it in later.
I will say this, we had proposed and had voted on a budget, which we rescinded, which had no tax increase in it. And we all agreed on that budget, and then we rescinded it. So that budget has already been approved and rescinded by this board.
Jim, I have a question.
Pardon me?
So the difference, can I ask, am I going to ask a question?
Yes.
So, okay, we're looking at, give or take, $260,000.
253, 447.
253,
447.
447 is the difference between the,
Yes, basically a tax increase is approximately $250,000.
No. The difference, the difference between what you, that comes as kind of right. The difference between what you just gave us in what we would be taking from the fund balance.
You have to take an additional 253,000.
It's an extra
So it'd be $253,000
about $250,000, give or take, is the difference.
if we would choose to stay where we were. Okay.
Someone like to introduce the proposal again?
Did it before, I guess I'll do it again.
All right. Proposal A, proposed for 2017-2018 budget with an Act 1 increase. It's recommended that the board grant permission for the administration to post proposed final budget as presented for a 30-day period and authorize and direct the secretary to obtain the necessary advertisements therefore. Expenditures of $32,606,611. Revenues of $29,499,160. Plus a fund balance of $3,107,451. This would set the millage at mills for the Westmoreland County at 77.2 and for Fayette County at 15.5231. Proposed tax millage rates subject to the change for final budget adoption in June using the multi-county rebalancing based on methodology of section 671.1A1 of the school code. Do I have a proposal on the floor?
I'll make that motion.
So moved by Mr. Polakowski. Second?
That was with or without?
That's with the tax increase.
With the tax increase.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Love. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Rhodes? Yes. Mrs. Shipley?
Yes.
Mr. Alt?
No.
Mr. Calero?
No?
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
4-2, 3 absent. Motion fails.
Make a motion that we propose it without a tax increase.
Read it again. Posting of the proposed 2017-2018 budget without the Act 1 tax increase. It's recommended that the board grant permission for the administration to post the proposed final budget as presented for a 30-day period and authorize and direct the secretary to obtain the necessary advertisements thereof. Therefore, expenditures of $32,606,611, revenues of $29,245,713, fund balance of $3,360,898. This would set the millage at 74.61 mills for Westmoreland County, 14.9982 mills for Fayette County. Proposed tax millage rate subject to the change for final budget adoption in June using the multi-county rebalancing based on methodology of section 672.1A1 of the school code. I have a proposal by Mr. Alt. Do I have a second? I will second the motion. Roll call, please.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Approximately, how much would it raise the average person's taxes if we went with the increase? Just
Jim,
saying that
I
it,
believe $43 a year, is that correct? The average homeowner's taxes?
Roughly $40 to $43, depending on once everything is entered into that program. So yeah,
That's an average, right?
that's an average.
Okay.
The average assessed value, homestead in Westmoreland County, $16,665, and Fayette County, $70,074. Yeah.
The information that you gave us here said the average monthly increase would be $3.35.
About $3.35 a month.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
This is without.
This is without, yes, we've already,
Plan B.
Plan B.
Mrs. Shipley.
I'm going to say yes, just to move this on, but I will say I will not support cutting anything that's going to affect the educational quality of our students at a later date.
Mr. Alt.
Yes.
Mr. Calero.
Yes.
Mrs. Love.
I'll also say yes, but I agree, I will not make a decision that's going to affect the quality of education.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes, and I have to also say that I'm not supporting any kind of cuts that's going to jeopardize the education of our children here. We do a good job, and I'm not going to jeopardize that in no way. So,
6-0 with 3 absent. Motion passes.
No, there was one.
There's one?
Did
Did I get it? I thought we got it.
or is it all?
I thought it was
6?
all.
I'm
Everybody
sorry.
voted yes?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody voted yes?
A couple of them with regrets, but yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have one walk-on, if I may.
Yes, you may.
This just came to me at the beginning of the board meeting. It's recommended that the board accept with regrets the resignation for purposes of retirement from our custodian, Anna Darlene Smith, effective midnight, May 31st, 2017.
I have a proposal to accept that resignation. So moved by Mrs. Shipley. Second? Mrs. Love. Roll call?
Mr. Alt.
Yes.
Mr. Calero.
Yes.
Mrs. Love.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
yes.
Mrs. Shipley.
Yes.
6-0, 3 absent. Motion passes.
Are you going to set a date for the return of the recommendations? You voted on
Oh.
in the first resolution.
We don't need, we can, we have asked the administration to come up with some additional expenditure cuts, and we'll need to have those. Again, we can subtract from the budget, obviously we won't be adding to it. I believe our next meeting is on June the 8th. That would be the second Tuesday, yeah, the first is the Tuesday. And will we be able to do that by then, Jack? Will we have the information available by then?
We can.
Okay, all right, and we will have the administration present those specific items that they can additionally cut on the budget at that meeting. And also, I think I'd like to vote on whether we postpone the meeting for the second meeting, which would be on the 15th, since we'll have to vote on the 22nd. We can't vote on the 15th for the budget because it won't be 30 days. So we'll have to vote on the 22nd, following Thursday. And we can just postpone the voting meeting that would normally occur on the 15th.
What are you going to do on the 22nd?
That's, we'll have to vote to pass the budget at that.
Today's the
can't.
25th.
Has to be
It'll be the
out.
one after, it'll be the 29th, I'm sorry. It'll be the following Thursday if we do it then, on a Thursday.
Are you going to be, does that affect getting payroll out and paying all the bills?
You'll have a budget passed on time, it won't affect.
No, I
payroll.
meant just the regular monthly approval of all the bills.
No. Payroll will continue as it always does.
Are you
You
going to have,
want us to put, oh wait, you don't have a voting meeting on the 8th. It's
well,
just
that's
a
what I'm
discussion.
asking you.
Right.
Shouldn't it be about
Let's
it?
post the 8th as a voting meeting
Okay.
as well.
All right. So we'll post the 8th as a voting meeting, and then we'll postpone the meeting that would normally be held on the 15th, and we'll postpone that till the 22nd. 9th.
Yeah, because on the 8th, it's going to be necessary for you to tell me whether you approve
Approve
our
of the-
proposal or not.
Okay.
So our meetings are going to be the 8th and the 29th?
Correct.
I expect the birthday date on the 29th.
I'll give you one,
You say
Jack.
the
I
29th?
promise
At work?
you. It'll be a Dairy Queen one, because it's the only thing I
At least
like.
a candle in my cookie.
Well, we're gonna light you up, Jack. It'll be all right. Any other business? Stroll?
I had asked
Wait,
previously.
time out.
Oh.
We need to vote on what you just said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I need a motion to move to make the June 8th a voting meeting. And I'm going to wrap this all up. The June 8th, a voting meeting, postpone the meeting that would be held on June 15th and postpone it to June the 29th. Do I have a motion on the floor? Mr. Shipley, second.
29th includes the budget.
Includes the budget.
Second.
Second by Mr. Polakowski. Roll call?
Mr. Calero?
Yes.
Mrs. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Shipley? Yes. Mr. Alt?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0, 3 absent. Stroll.
I'll wait till Jack's ready.
Pardon me?
I'll wait till Jack's ready.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Alt.
I had asked previously about the dietary department and that fund balance that they maintain. Can you give me an update, if possible, on that?
Yeah, I actually have an email from Mrs. Huggins, and she can probably elaborate a little bit on this as well. When Mrs. Huggins took over in 2009, the cafeteria fund balance was $140,000. Even though the cash available then was about $400,000. Right now, in their checking account, they have about $350,000, which is about a 3 to 4 month operating surplus. And there's also a $200,000 CD, which has been there since, how long, Lynn? Since 2005.
Now, that amounts to about $500,000, give or take a few tens of thousands of
Yes.
dollars. Does that not belong to the school district?
In a manner of speaking, it does. But we did some research on this.
504 out.
Yeah, and I have it here somewhere.
Want me to read it?
You have it there, Dave?
Any balance of funds accruing from the operation of the cafeteria must be used only for the improvement or maintenance of the cafeteria and may not be used for other purposes. So you can't move cafeteria fund balance to, general fund for the purpose of spending on non-cafeteria items.
Going back a number of years, and I know you were here then, Dave, and I can probably bring a number of people that were on the board. That kitchen was supposed, the dietary department was supposed to function as a non-profit, just maintaining itself. We now have $500,000, and this district is struggling to find ways to make money. And you're telling me that the law prevents them from giving them that money to us?
Yep. And it means inferentially that you either are not charging all of the expenses to the cafeteria department and/or are charging food prices higher than you need to, or both.
Okay, so how do we profit on our side?
It's not for you to profit. It's run for feeding the kids.
One of the things that had been suggested was that there could be fees attached that we would charge for the food budget.
I think Mrs. Huggins might have some answers to your questions, Ken.
Because, I mean, if that's the case, maybe we ought to look at an outside vendor to come in and get a kickback from them.
It still wouldn't help you with the $500,000, though. I don't think you'd be able
No,
to disperse
but
that.
we're not getting anything out of the dietary department, $1.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to give us anything, then we might as well hire a firm that will give us something.
But we just have to make sure that
But,
we're charging appropriately. Let Liv, go ahead.
Lynn, go
I
ahead.
mean, for what you're covering your costs.
I did look back into some of this, and the part of the reason the fund balance grew from the time I came on, and I explained this to Dr. Molnar the other day, was you took a significant reduction in the amount you were paying the prior management. When I was hired in 2008, the expense for your director and an assistant was about $86,000, and I was hired at $45,000. So right there off the bat, from 2008 moving forward, you had a reduction of about $40-some thousand just for that payroll expense. But the checking account probably about that time was, I only have 2009, I don't have 2008 because we weren't actually doing our own check writing at that time. But the balance about that time, I'm going to say, was about $200,000, and there was another $200,000 in CD. So we have grown the fund balance from that time. Today we're at probably another $130,000, $150,000. We've grown it, but that's part of what I attribute it to. In addition, as was mentioned earlier, we've had reductions in labor. As the enrollment has gone down, we still run the department judiciously. If you look at meal prices in Westmoreland County, Southmoreland has one of the lowest meal prices of all the schools. Frequently, the business managers and Mr. Marnell forwards that from the other schools, and we've done a comparison. Our lunch prices are among the lowest in the county. In the 9 years I've been here, we've raised lunch prices 2 times. And what we do normally then is we roll over and use state reimbursements to cover the increases. This year, it's mandatory every year that we change those. And when the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act came out, they mandate every year they want only the free children to be getting the benefits of the program. They do not want the free subsidies that you receive to pay for the paid lunches. So you have to review that annually. And we just reviewed that again the last month or two, and we chose again to use state subsidies to pay for that increase. We have taken over as many expenses as I can think since I've been here, including all of the maintenance and repair that goes outside, purchasing equipment. We've purchased a van. Every year we're purchasing and repairing equipment as needed. We are upgrading foods as we can, providing fresh berries and things that you don't typically see. So I feel that even along those lines, the quality of the foods that we're offering are good. But I think that's back to what I had stated is part of the reason that the fund has grown. Now we have some options as far as making maybe some sort of assistance to the general fund by way of indirect costs. So we can evaluate garbage costs, we can evaluate any other maintenance services that are provided to the food service department that perhaps we can start reimbursing the district for that hasn't been explored before, but there are ways to do that.
Do they amount to anything substantial?
Well, I would have to see what the hourly rate is. And one thing just off the top of my head, custodial mops the cafeterias every day. So let's estimate an hour per each cafeteria times each custodian. You're probably looking at $20 times 4 schools per day that you could, per $20 per hour. So you're probably talking $80 a day that can be charged over. There's some things we can look at.
$17,000 a year.
Do you do a ratio?
16 to 17,000 a year.
Do you do a ratio with electricity, water, those kind of things? Utilities?
That's possible, but it's a lot more difficult because if you charge it to one program, you have to charge it to all. And I know Norwin right now is going through the same thing. They have a fund balance, and they are looking for ways to, their general fund is looking for ways to try to recoup from the cafeteria fund also. And what they settled on was some maintenance expenses. The last I talked to their food service director.
Under the scenario that you just expressed, you will continue to grow, and that balance that you maintain will continue to grow pretty well.
It's actually started to level off, and one thing with Peasers, Now we're taking a larger hit with retirement expenses, insurance is going up, the salaries, and I know we're negotiating a new contract right now. So actually, I pulled our 15-16 and our expenses versus revenues. We had about a $1,400 surplus in funds for last year, 15-16. This year, we're still we're not quite finished with the school year, and the reimbursements have to come in. But we pretty much had like a break-even year last year, and I think it's probably going to start leveling off.
You said, Dave, that we could not take the money. Can they voluntarily give us the money?
I don't think so.
It's
You don't think so?
Mr. Alt, it's a federal program, and it's specifically geared for providing. The law pretty much covers it.
See, that was not my understanding.
Yeah.
My understanding years ago was that if the kitchen wanted to keep its staff and workers as opposed to going outside, that they would maintain it as a non-profit, that it would function and sustain itself, and it was not to be something that grew into a huge fund balance.
Well,
Otherwise, it would have been shipped out to some other company.
You know what, though? In some ways, you can look at it as a negative, but in some ways, I can tell you, for example, Mount Pleasant is with a management company, and I read last year in the paper that they were in the red over $50,000. Albert Gallatin just lost nutrition, and they were paying them they were in the red $250,000. Uniontown just let go of nutrition, and they were in the red over $100,000. So what you have to realize is they are a for-profit company. So when they come in, part of that goal is they're not going to just provide you meals instead of that money being in the district, and it's here for however long this department needs it. You're going to be paying that to a for-profit company. So the positive of that is you're keeping it in the district. It is the district's money.
Don't get me wrong, I commend you that you could save that kind of money. I think that's fantastic. I'm just looking for ways that it can help the whole school district.
And we can, like I said, we can look at indirect costs that are allowable, but you can't just transfer the money. And the other thing I will say is, just to give kudos to the people who have negotiated the contracts over the years, is that a lot of the time, the reason other schools end up going into the red is they are paying more than they should be in benefits and in labor. And this district has managed to keep that under control, which has partly enabled this to happen, which I could probably say your food service director wasn't directly responsible for negotiating those contracts over the years that have also allowed for that situation. But
And that's why I asked about the other costs, because I just got done with the college. We just negotiated a third-party food service, and the electricity, the water, the gas, all of the percentage of that goes into that contract with them. So
I know Norwin was looking at that also, and from my research, if you're going to do that, you have to allocate those costs evenly to all of your programs and/or install separate meters to do that. So that's not the best way to go, but I think
I meant with if you're looking at an outside operation.
Yeah. But probably the best way is we can look, and we brought this up last year. We made this offer last year for indirect costs when it was budget time, and the same thing. And the board at that time turned that offer down. But again, we can look at it again.
Lynn, at this point, you feel that it's kind of leveling off, though. So again, if it were to continue to be level, we'd be at break even. So any money that you would give us as indirect cost would reduce that amount.
That's
on
correct.
that balance.
That's correct.
And it may take us 10 years to do that, but again, and then that's also assuming that our contract costs don't go up somewhere along the line, and that we have additional expenses that we would not be able to cover with your current operating budget.
And just to add, one dish machine goes down, 30 grand. A new healthcare, a new national healthcare that might be passed that becomes mandatory, that could affect it. So there are a lot of things that could happen that are unknown that could affect it in moving forward.
Any things that we can do for the kids that, not necessarily long term, but from time to time? I mean,
You mean just By adding extra? I mean, we pretty much, even in the, particularly the middle school and high school, we're not real restrictive with the kids in taking the extra portions of fruit and vegetables. The only thing we have to be careful of is, while we can't offer extra foods, because then at review time, those foods have to go towards our, what we have to meet on the dietary end for them and their nutrients, and if we're over, then we're going to get cited for that. Do you see what I mean? But that makes it hard on that end too. But just to add too, I mean, we've added programs. We're doing the after-school supper program. We're evaluating doing all free for one of the buildings next year based on the direct certification that we have. So that's being evaluated at this time.
Can we do more for outside, like the backpack lunch thing and?
That we are not permitted to donate. Again, it's just that those monies are specifically earmarked for feeding the students in the school.
I would think if we could get some indirect cost, and then looking at the program and saying, we're grateful that we don't have to put any money into the program, knowing that you'll be solvent for quite a few years to come.
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
You could be also in the situation and looking at, a deficit on this side, so.
Well, I can remember when I first came here, the school board was paying, feeding the cafeteria money so that they could meet payroll. So,
Yeah,
and Lynn, thank you for explaining so much more articulately than I could have.
Now, back to that too, had you had an agreement back then, you might have been able to recoup some of those losses, but it's my understanding that if you have something in writing, an agreement where you're making that loan, then it could possibly be paid back in the future.
I don't know if it was a loan as much as it was in order for the kitchen staff to continue to be the employee.
It was a subsidy back then.
That we agreed that it would not be a big profit thing.
When would these laws of come into play?
Or tie in with other laws that people
What
pass.
what I'm getting at is, can we grandfather and take the $200,000 CD under a?
No, because that's school code anyway. 1949.
I don't know what was amended.
And seriously, if one walk-in cooler goes down, you're looking at 85,000.
Amy, Lynn, just out of curiosity, what rate of interest are we getting on that CD, or you're getting actually?
It's very small. It's about 1.2%.
Which is not bad right now.
Yeah, we actually, Mr. Marnell tied us up with Pliget. We had taken it out of the bank because it was really giving us nothing, and we left it in the checking account for a little while and just reinvested it within the last month or two.
We certainly can't fault you for being efficient. Much as we'd like to have that money, we can't fault you for being good.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Lynn.
you. All right, any other questions? Citizens' comments? Motion to adjourn. Mrs. Rhodes, second. Mr. Alt, all those in favor? Aye, adjourned.